Hello and welcome to Traditional Painting the Digital Way. This is where I teach you how to paint traditionally using digital painting apps. This is part 3 of my Moonlight waterfall painting. In this lesson we're going to learn how to paint the rocks and underpaint the water. So if you want a list of all my traditional painting materials, then go ahead and check out part 1. And I have listed all the paints and canvases and brushes that I use when I'm painting traditionally. Now for the digital part, we're going to be using Infinite Painter, and that's an Android app on my Samsung Galaxy Note 12.2 tablet. So we're going to start by underpainting the rocks. And so what you want to do is use dioxazine purple with burnt sienna. And this will give you a dark purple mixture. You might throw in a little bit of ultramarine blue. And if you're following along traditionally, you probably will want to use your number 8 filbert brush or your number 6 flat brush. I'm using the Vince brush from Infinite Painter. And what we're doing here is a technique called scumbling. Scumbling is just laying down really rough brush strokes on your canvas. And you don't want anything really refined at this point. At this point, you just want sort of some shapes that are in the form of rocks, but we're not looking for a finished product here. And so just go ahead and add those on the left side of the waterfall. Try not to make them look uniform because we don't want things to look uniform. I say this all the time, but we don't want things to look uniform when we're doing landscapes and nature pictures. Okay, and we're going to add some rocks at the bottom there, and they will be in the pool of water sticking up. And we also want to add rocks in between the two waterfall streams. And you want these in kind of a stair-like pattern or a shelf-like pattern, but again, you want it to look irregular. So just go ahead and add those along the edges of where your water is going to be. And then let's put some closer to the small stream. Add some at the top where the water will run down. And we need to also put some kind of in the middle of the stream because the water is going to run around the rocks and in the stream, and so we want to make sure that we add just a few rocks there. Don't overpower it. Don't kill all your water there. Just leave a space for your water, but you kind of want to make it look jagged. So go ahead and add those on the right side as well. And then we need to start the highlights. And so what we do with the highlights is you can add white to your purple mixture and go ahead and start shaping the rocks. And again, we want them to look jagged and non-uniform. The light source is from our moon, so it's going to be from the left and it's going to be high. So we want to just kind of do a little highlight on the tops of our rocks. So go ahead and just add little shapes, pick and pull the shapes out, try to make interesting looking rock shapes, jagged rock shapes, and sort of keep them in the shelf-like pattern that we have. But don't make it look uniform like a stairway or something man-made, because it's not. It's all a nature-like look. So I just go ahead and pick through and kind of refine. But again, this is only the first step for the rocks. There's going to be many steps for the rocks. But since we're at the point where we now need to add the water, let's go ahead and pick sort of a darker blue. Probably, if you're following along traditionally, an ultramarine blue with maybe a touch of phthalo blue in it. A little bit of purple maybe, a little bit of white acrylic gesso, but you still want it to be fairly dark. And I'm still using the Vince brush in Infinite Painter. And you can also keep using your number 8 filbert brush and your number 6 flat brush. And you kind of want to use a stroke that drags downward. You want to start smaller at the top for a waterfall and then expand it out towards the bottom. And don't make it just straight, because we want to show that this waterfall is falling over the rocks and sort of going around the rocks. So you can go ahead and paint some water around the rocks and just go ahead and make it kind of in a zigzag pattern, and that will give it more interest. I know that some waterfalls fall straight down, but for this one we want to give it some interest by having the waterfall around the rocks, and like there's little small streams that come off of it and everything. And so in order to give that look, we want to add back a few more rocks there, and I used a darker purple, but it doesn't really matter. You don't have to have your rocks all the same colors. In fact, it's better if you don't, because that gives it more interest. So just go ahead and just as long as it's a dark color. And then I want to go ahead and add a little bit of highlight there to just kind of give the format of the rocks, but I also don't want them to look so uniform, so I'm going to have to go back and fix that. But anyway, this is the underpainting for the water and the underpainting for the rocks. And in our next lesson, we're going to go ahead and start highlighting the bushes and further work on the rocks. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, and thank you for all your support, and I will catch you later.